I'm so rubbish. I'm just here to that sounds worse. All right, so I don't know how to start one of these things. I'm going to demonstrate the a compiler, Dataflex Console Mode compiler that I've written. It uses the Dataflex ActiveX compiler component, so it's just a wrapper around the existing compiler. I'm going to show you it, setting it up, downloading it, etc., and also hopefully give you an idea of why I think it would be a useful tool to have as part of your Dataflex tool belt. Yeah, so no further ado, let's crack on. What we've got here in front of us is this is just an AWS server setup. I've put a couple of versions of Dataflex on there. Version, I think it's 17 and version 17.1 maybe, and version 18.1. I've got a browser, a Git as well. Git's quite important to go on there, and Notepad. So yeah, so setup. Keep all my source code on Bitbucket. Bitbucket's really good. Bitbucket, GitHub. Use whatever you want, but I recommend Bitbucket. I think it's the best. There'll be a link to this in wherever it was that you found this from, but it's basically Dataflex Compile is the repository name. What we're going to do, we're going to set that up and start it. So this is the third time I've done this presentation. The first time the program didn't work, and the second time I had music going in the background and it amplified it in the video and you can't hear what I'm saying. So no music this time. Okay, we're in develop. Nothing here, nothing up my sleeves. Let's download and install the program. Git clone, isn't it? Git clone. The address, the Git address, which I got from Bitbucket. Okay, and if we have a look, there you go. That's our workspace. So into Dataflex. I've done this a couple of times on this server, so there's already a link to the workspace there. There's nothing actually, there was nothing in it before, but anyway, in we go. And what we have in the workspace is we have a number of programs. Test you can ignore. FlexComp, that's the compiler. Now we need to compile the compiler, and we can't if we haven't got the compile. So what we have is we have this Windows program which is called Register Compiler, which sort of sets things up for you. So what we're going to do, we're just going to download that. Not download it, we're going to go to that and run it. Yeah. What it does is it creates two programs. It creates Consolify, which creates console mode versions of a program, and it creates FlexComp, which is what we'll be using essentially. So what we do is we click register and compile programs. So it registers the first one, compiles the first one, compiles the second one, converts it to console mode, converts the second one to and then registers it. So that's it, really. It creates a scripts folder, and it adds that scripts folder to your path. To your user path, not your admin path, your user path. So that means that any sort of applications which are available in that script folder can be run against whatever workspace you're in. So, right, we are going to, before we close this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a new workspace, which we can use just to create a little testing. So testing workspace, C develop testing is good. Okay, brilliant. Right, so here we are in our, right, I just need to pop out of that and pop back in again, just so we now have our path set up with the scripts folder. Good. If we now go into here we have our testing and our Dataflex Compiler, which we knew about, but we're going into testing. If we type flexcomp, which is the name of the compiler, I wish I had a better name for it, you know. So yeah, there it tells us what we can do with it. What we can do with it, we can compile a program. We can compile a program and then run it using --run. We can compile a program using different versions of the Dataflex compiler. So if you need like a version 17, you know, you're working in 18.1 but you need to compile it against version 17 for a different customer, you can do it with --version 17 and it'll compile and run it. Console forces a program to be console mode. --win forces a program to be Windows mode. --register registers an application so it can be run from anywhere. We'll show you that later. And force register is the same, except if there's already a registration for a program with that name, it overwrites it. Relatively small number of options. They may widen out as I sort of figure out what I'm going to use this for. Alright, so let's create a program. Okay, source. What I am going to do is I think one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to add the ability to add template programs, because that's a pain, is that, not having that available. Okay, what we have in here is in readfolder.txt. It's just something which runs through your folder and lists the files in the folder. So that's what we're going to use for a test program, rather than write it twice. I thought I'd write it once. So let's create a new file and let's save it in app source and list files.src, because that's what it's going to do. Okay, use windows.pkg. We're going to use console.pkg, which isn't in the path, and it isn't in this workspace. That's something I need to think about as well. But anyway, let's just copy this from Dataflex Compiler, app source. Let's just grab this console. Alright, so we're using Windows, we're using console. Let's just grab a program here. Flexcomp.source will do. Maybe will that do? Yeah, it should do. I just want this bit here. So what we're doing, we're saying it's a console mode application. We're using this directive here, which the console mode application looks for. If it sees it, it converts it to console mode. I've got an application set up. I need to use the package there. I believe that is it. Alright. And we're going to create a list files, which is essentially our hello world. I tell you what, using a non-Dataflex editor makes you realise how good the Dataflex IDE is, because when I'm not in it, I do miss it. I do miss it a lot. So it really is, you know, for all my moaning about Dataflex and the things it doesn't do right, the IDE is excellent. Right. So yeah, we go through the directory, and we're not going to show line which shows it to the whatever. What we're going to do is we're going to send write console. Okay. See, look, if I was in IDE now, I'd be happy as Larry, but I'm not. Okay, send list files, and let's spell that right. Okay, good. So there's this program, listfiles.source. What we're going to do is we're going to compile this. Flex comp works if you're inside the workspace, not if you don't have to be exactly in app source, you can just be in the workspace. So flex comp list files dot, oh, you can pass a full path in here as well if you want to, but there we go, boom. This bit here, oh, I forgot to do something. I've got an app crash. It sometimes crashes. If it crashes, delete the executable, maybe restart your console mode and give it another go. I don't know why it crashes. I suspect it's to do with the message loop that the compiler uses in order to get the compile messages to the screen. Yeah, it's really annoying. Really annoying. Oh, I'll tell you what we didn't do there. What I want to do is I want to register it. You don't have to register it. If you register it, it puts it in your path. It puts it in that scripts folder which I talked about, so you can run it from anywhere. There we go. Boom. And that should be registered. Okay, so if I do a list files here, I can see what files are there. Yeah, if I go into data, I can see what list files are there. Yeah, if I go to my root directory and go to, I don't know, let's not go to Windows, that would be daft. Users. So it's in the path. You can run it from anywhere. We've written a program in Dataflex. We've compiled it, and now we're using it as a tool. I think this is going to be them. There's two uses I can see for this. First is this, is just write a little tool. So for example, I could write a tool which goes through filelist.cfg and either removes an item or adds a new item rather than going through all the database build or whatever. Yeah, I could write a tool which formatted a source file, you know, or returned you know, the details in a specific table. Or even a named table. I could do all those things, and they're just little tools then for me to use and to add to my toolkit. So that's the first use. The second use that I can see, and why I originally wrote this, was for batch programs. With the move to the web, batch programs are increasingly needed. This is programs where you set them off running, and they do the thing. You get a result back. And you know, the sort of the web program independently then sees that the other application has finished and reports it to the user. So it's a way of running things in the background. It's just, I know there is like the web business process, but it just doesn't feel right to me. I feel like it should be. If you're running something, if you're running a process from the web which is taking more than like 10 seconds, it should be in an external program. So this is the second use case for this compiler. Yeah, that's it. If Dataflex had the ability to create console mode apps in its sort of like normal compile routine, you know, there probably wouldn't be a need for this, but I found that I do sort of need it. We'll see how much I use it as to how much it's needed. Alright, so yeah, we've created a program, list files, which is in the path. We can run it wherever we want, and it does whatever we want it to do. Yeah, that is my demonstration. 14 minutes. Last time I did this with the music took 20 minutes, so I've probably missed something out. I've missed 6 minutes worth of stuff out. I can't think what it is. Download it, give it a go, tell me what you think, and tell me if you've got any ideas for how it could be used, and I hope it's useful. Thank you. I'll see you in the forums.